Alright, welcome back to art class. What we're going to be doing today is you should already have your drawing pretty much completed. You might have, like me, maybe a little bit of eraser marks still to take care of. Okay, you're going to want your pencil, your eraser, and you're going to want your ribbon that you use. If you're using the photo, then use the exact same photo that we were doing before. If you're using your ribbon, please use the same ribbon that you were using before. You're going to be you want to be in a place where the lighting doesn't change too much. If you're using the photo like I am, it's not that big of a deal simply because the photo doesn't change, but it will make a difference if you're using your own personal ribbon, because if you work in the part of the day, maybe it's in the morning, the sun might be over here, but if you are working in the afternoon, the sun is going to be shining over here, so the reflections will change on your ribbon and it might make your shading a bit more difficult. So what we're going to do today is we're going to continue on with the shading. All drawings should be done, but you may have to make an adjustment here or there. Like I can see one right now on my top piece that's not near wide enough there, so I'm going to have to adjust that right there. So you may make small adjustments to your picture. You probably shouldn't be making too many big ones at this point because it should be pretty well laid out for you. Okay. You're going to want your pencil. You're going to definitely want to have it sharpened most of the time, and you're going to be working with the side of the pencil and a good portion of this. What I like to do is generally I will start in the middle again and work my way out. That has more to do with trying to keep my hands clean rather than where I have to start working. What I like to do is first make it sharp, sharpen pencil, and I'm going to give I need you to think in 3 layers: light, medium, and dark. And what I'm going to do is give a very light layer to this one piece. I'm going to work on one piece at a time. It tends to just be easier to focus and get work done on something like this. You need to make sure your marks go all the same directions when you're shading on this, because if you change your directions, it will be very noticeable and will be docked from your assignment. So please make sure that you're paying attention to which way you're going. Now, in some small areas will you have to go, like just to get an edge, yeah, you will have to change. So like my edge here, I have to very, very lightly go in, clean up that edge a bit. Up here, I need to get an eraser and just clean up some line work. At this point, as you're going, you may want to go in and just clean up your lines to make them more solid. If they're sketchy, which is what a lot of us do. Okay, so here's my very first layer of shading. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and look for some dark areas of shading. So I need to think of, this is light, so I have mediums and darks. So where are my darks, where are my mediums? And for most ribbons, they're kind of going to be in lines on your picture. Okay? So there's a really dark shadow right in here, so it's right there. Go in. I'm not trying to make black because the dark shadows are going to be right inside here, so this is just going to be like a dark gray. Make sure the edges are nice and clean. If you go off the line, just touch it up. Okay, there is a dark shadow that goes across there. And since I'm working that same shadow, I'm actually going to go ahead and draw the shadow on the other piece too. And this one is much darker, so. Notice I'm trying to blend in that line that I had drawn. And since I'm already in this area, I just tend to work in there. It is a really, really dark shadow right there. So I will go in, make sure this is the darkest part of the shadow. So I'm going to probably use the tip of my pencil a bit more to make sure it's extra dark. If you're using your charcoal pencil, because that's what you drew yours in, just be careful. Charcoal gets very messy. But this is a project that will work great in charcoal if you decided to do that. Okay, so the darkest parts of the shadow should be these inside parts. Then I got a medium shadow right here. So that, and then it gets a little bit lighter, so I need to make it come over a little bit more. Yeah, so medium to light. And then if you have a bright highlight, like right here, there is a bright highlight right next to the dark. So then you go in with your eraser, and that's how you get your white back. You use that. And then I can go back in here, and my white doesn't show up quite as much, so I need to, it means I probably should just make my shadow a little bit darker so that it brightens up. And that's really what it is finding where the lights, the darks, the mediums are, and working it. So I'm going to continue to work on this. I'll put it in fast forward mode so you can see me doing it, and then I need you to work on yours. This does take a while. Okay, now that we have about half of it done, we'll leave the other half for next week, because it does take a while to do this. Do trust that your highlights and shadows make sense to what you're doing in the picture. That's one advantage of a photo over having an item, because when you move, the photo lighting doesn't really change when it comes to a real object. the lighting can change. So it's just one of those things, like if you move it this way, the light will look a little bit different. If you move it this way, even with your bobbing your head and moving your head to do adjustments, it can change. So either one can work. It's just a little bit trickier to do it with a real object versus the photo. So you're more than welcome to do the real one, but you can use the photo at the same time. As you saw as I was going, I did adjustments for the length and height of things. I did some erasing, things like that. That's what you normally do with these kinds of projects. Again, you can see that I'm doing a light, a medium, a dark. So it's a light covering for the whole thing, a medium and dark for most of the shadows. As black as the pencil will go is where I use my dark shadows, and then I use my eraser to go back and add in the white highlights that I need that are really, really bright. Okay. So it's very simple, but it just takes a while to do. And it can be a little frustrating, so take your time. And again, we're only looking for about half of it. When you get that far, please upload your photo to Google Classroom, and then I will see you next week.